So I recently pulled my PSP out from the dust, and I had a simple question. Is this worth playing on in 2023? Of course, we have things such as the PS Vita, the Switch, and lots of other newer consoles such as the Steam Deck and stuff that can easily play games like this, but at better resolution with higher speeds and stuff. So it really got me thinking. I had purchased this PSP for $100 last year with a 64 gigabyte micro SD card. I had later informed the seller that this PSP is not actually compatible with the SD card that is in it unless, of course, it is modded. I gave him instructions on how to mod his PSPs if he is interested in selling PSPs like that, and he said thank you, and I haven't spoke to him since then. This PSP is a modded PSP, as you can see. We have the special custom firmware installed. However, the consistent question I get is, really, is this worth it today? I mean, yeah, it's a nice small form factor. It's great to have in your hands, and you get the real PSP feeling when you're actually playing your games. But what exactly are you experiencing with this PSP? Well, it can play 320 kilobyte per second AAC files or MP3 files, but that is, of course, if you can get them imported properly. For some reason, I keep on receiving this. It will say 0 tracks on all of these, and I know that there's stuff on this SD card because the games don't fill it all up, and I only have 10 gigabytes left. My music in total equals about 30 gigabytes worth. And as far as the browser goes, unless if you're doing a simple Google search, it is pretty much rendered unusable. First of all, you have to set up a network that has WEP encryption, not WPA2, not WPA3, just WEP, which is the lowest encryption status, which I actually did. I set up my guest network, nicknamed PSP Network, as a network specifically for this, just to test it out. As you can see, after working through this weird ass keyboard, I can actually load it, and pressing start will establish a connection. And after it loads in, I could do a simple Google. After entering my search address, I could just press search, and it does in fact search it up. But you are running an extremely old version of Google. And as far as features go, it's really not that good. You get very low quality images that all appear in a lineup similar to this. And when attempting to visit the website for pretty much image, well, just don't. Almost every time I get some sort of SSL encryption error. However, I have never actually tried to enter Amazon with this, so there's a possibility it might enter. It either does that or the PSP itself freezes. But then again, who's going to be using a PSP specifically for internet stuff in 2023? I mean, after all, you could buy a smartphone, iPod, or any other device that can all easily do it for a hell of a lot cheaper. Then what is this useful for? Well, it can't play movies unless if you use a specific program on the computer, which is called PSP 8, I believe. I'm not exactly sure the full name of it. I know I have the installer somewhere in my files. You can't actually watch movies on this without a UMD that is specified towards movies. You'd have to convert all your movies into a lower resolution format in order for them to be able to be watched in the first place on this device. What about modability? Well, that is definitely a positive on this device. It is extremely easy to mod this device. Like, easier than ever. All you have to do is install the latest firmware and then install a custom firmware. Mr. Mario has a really good video about that. I followed his instructions. I'd actually recommend his instructions for modding any console. He's absolutely awesome at that. I'm not going to tell you how I did it in this because there's really no point in going through all of that if he can tell you. Now, if my camera will actually focus, you can see I have quite a few games on this, and Every single one of these games pretty much plays, with the exception of some modded ones. So I tried to install things like Super Nintendo stuff and a external media player to see if I could solve the issue where it's not showing that I have any songs on there, even though they are in fact on the SD card in the proper folder. Instead, I just got corrupted data, and it didn't exactly work. But as far as any of these other games go, they easily launch without issue. Well, let's talk about battery life. Well, battery life on this tends to be okay. It definitely isn't the best. You can be playing games for a couple of hours. Let's just say that this system was played on for about 3 hours, a little bit before December. And I just pulled it out of my backpack today because I forgot that I had it in there in the first place. And it's still at full bars. So it obviously is able to maintain its stuff pretty well, but whether or not it actually holds a charge or keeps it for a long period of time, I don't know. As far as I know, the battery that is in this device is a aftermarket battery. I know it's weird that I have a different colored door on here. As far as I know, what this guy does in the first place is he takes PSPs and he just restores them and sells them, which I am all for. I am all for right to repair and preventing e-waste and stuff. So if that's a way to do it, then hell, go for it. I will always agree with that. But as far as other programs go, all digital services have been taken offline. By the way, this is a Japanese model. The only reason why the controls are different were because I modded it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to edit the controls. Theme settings, you still have all your basic stuff. So, then again, let's backtrack to the question. Is this really worth it? I mean, you can easily buy like $100 phone and use this to emulate all your PSP stuff. Or get some other device, or even a computer for that matter, and run all the games. You can mod PS3s to run this. You can mod Xbox Ones or Xbox Series S's or X or any of those, and they will all run this perfectly fine with RetroArch. So in the end, personally, I don't think so. I spent $100 on this unit. I could buy a PS Vita for $100 now, which was oddly strange that the prices vary so much between the systems. You can connect this thing to a TV, but it maxes out at 480p. Not to mention, most games appear as a little square on your TV when you are trying to play them. So newer TVs like this won't actually work. They'll just have a smaller display, and they won't look good at all. So if you want to buy one of these, I would suggest that you actually get the PS Vita and mod that. They have plenty of good mods. I'm pretty sure that Mr. Mario has some on his channel that you could try. But as far as compatibility goes, unless if you're really looking for the true PSP experience, I'd suggest that you get another device. Honestly, the PSP is just coming to the end of its life where it's no longer really relevant. This has 64 megabytes of RAM. And granted, there are huge homebrew libraries for this. They have imports of like Halo, Doom, all sorts of things, and even cool games such as Minecraft, which I will show you in a second. Some of these games commonly crash, and it's not really anything you can do about it. So, I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you guys are looking for more videos like this, please let me know in the comments. This is a pretty sweet system. This is my first system that I actually ever owned. My grandmother got me one of these. It was a PSP 2000, and this was back in like 2015, I believe. Around that area. She got me one of these for Christmas. It came with a case and a ton of games. I never actually got the chance to mod it, but this is definitely something cool. It is something that, for its history, it was definitely worth it. And this is one of the things that I'm talking about. Sometimes the game will just become unusable. I'm assuming this is going to appear here in a couple seconds, or it's just going to completely outright freeze. I always have to reset this PSP, and I'm not sure if it's because of the mods that are on it, or if it's because there's something actually going on with the system software. But I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you. Oh, and just to see what I'm talking about, the PSP shut itself off. It will now restart. As you can see, that is the HDD light or the memory stick light is flashing. Thank you, and you all have a nice day or night, whatever it is you are experiencing wherever you are at.